just first of all, I'm going to just start puffing on this right now. I've been trying this for like the last couple of days, and there's no terpenes in this. And hello, Parliament. Pleasure to always be here talking with you, honestly. I love making these videos, and I just want to thank all of you. We're nearly at 1,000 subscribers, and it's mad. I think we're nearly at 1,000 people, and I'm just looking forward to getting up to those big numbers, and each and every one of you watching these videos helps. So if it's your first time here, I'm Luke with Owls. We try to provide the best education possible so you can make good decisions about what you want to consume and put in your body. Simple as that. And today we are going to talk about HHC, and this is not a HHC Owls cart, but it is a HHC that we did get from MC Nutraceuticals, and I want to talk to you about that today. I want to talk to you about the test results and just get into it. And just first of all, I'm going to just start puffing on this right now. I've been trying this for like the last couple of days, and there's no terpenes in this, and the first thing I noticed is that like it's really smooth. And I know with Delta 8 there's often like a cough or a kick, and with this it's very pleasant, like, and especially for it to not have any terpenes in it. I mean, I'd be really expecting something that's a little more harsh, but I really like this. I think that the best feeling or way to put it is like, you got your one arm here, that's like D8, you got the other arm here, it's HHC. And then you got the daddy out here in the center, like D9 or CBG. And this feels more like an indica. It feels more like D9, but it's not as heavy as D9. Like, from what I've been researching, it's meant to be like stronger than D8, but not as strong as D9. Delta 8 is supposed to be half as potent as D9. I think Delta 8 is pretty potent. Like, I think it's really potent, honestly. I think Delta 8 is more potent than HHC in my experience. But I will say that for me personally, like, I couldn't go all day smoking D9. And in fact, I turn into pretty much a couch potato when I smoke D9. And for my whole life, it's always been like, I'm chilling. Like, back in the day, we used to go meet up in each other's sheds or in the field, but like in the park or whatever it would be, and we'd smoke a bunch of joints. We were always doing nothing. It was never like, hey, I'm thinking about like how I'm going to change the world. So for me, I'm really turned off when I use Delta 9. That's why I don't really use it that much. But with this, I could smoke this a lot. And I think it definitely has its place. And so for any of you who haven't looked at some of our other videos on HHC, HHC is maybe a semi-synthetic, we don't know yet, but HHC is a relatively new cannabinoid. There's over 400 different cannabinoids and terpenes, right? So like, we haven't even scratched the surface yet in terms of like, what are these? How do we use them? How do we use them effectively? And really, there's going to be so many new cannabinoids that come out, and some of them are going to be hit and miss. You all know how I'm feeling about D10, and I still hear people talking about D10 when it doesn't actually do anything. It's like saying, oh man, you don't know about CBD, but it's Delta 8 that's in there. But HHC is definitely not going to flop, and Delta 8 certainly going nowhere. And then I'd probably say THCP is next, and Delta 9, obviously the Delta 9 products that are being released. But this is like a milder high than Delta 9, and it's less harsh than Delta 8. And so I find this to be something that is very relaxing. Very relaxing. I notice primarily with Delta 8, I feel this like heaviness come over my eyes, and this doesn't give me that feeling. It's more like I'm in my body, more of an indica feeling is probably the best way to put it. So I know by this stage, I imagine you all know about the 9R and 9S HHC, right? There's like so many different options, and you've been watching these other videos, so I imagine you get it by now. So this actually contained, okay, here we go. So first of all, this contained it was 99% total cannabinoids, which is pretty fantastic, honestly. It was 99.8% total cannabinoids, so you can't really get much purer than that. There was 46% of the 9R and 53% of the 9S. And so from a bunch of the studies, it says that like the 9S doesn't get you high. I definitely feel, as I said, it really is less head for me, and it's much more body. And in a way where like I would prefer to not have the head high from D9 because it's too much for me. But I got this on the blue setting, so the balance. So this is at 2.2 volts in a quartz coil cart, and I gotta say, this is like an easy win. This is like, I would tell someone like CBD, go to HHC, then D8, then D9. Like D8 is potent in my opinion. I mean, like when you ate a 50 milligram edible, I mean, holy shit, is that a lot? At least for me it is. And yeah, I just want to say that I'm going to read a little bit more about I'm going to read you a little bit more about HHC. But overall, the feelings are a calming sensation, relaxing, not a lot of head change, but just an overall feeling of calmness is probably the best way to put it. And I'm smoking this without terps. God, what would that be like with some platinum al terps in there? That would be a game changer. So I'm really leaning towards HHC as being like a pretty big game changer, honestly. And the fact that it's called HHC is like somewhat not really being talked about, right? That the D9 or anything that says THC is going to have a big no about it, but HHC sort of just goes right under, even though it's basically the exact same structure as Delta 9. So basically, HHC was founded in like 1944. There's been a variety of different HHCs, I'm sure, as you all know. The 9B, there's also 8-hydroxy-iso hexahydrocannabinol. And there's just so many different HHCs that it's like, please tell me which one I'm consuming. Thank you very much, right? Like, is it that much to ask? Could you tell me which HHC? And in 2015, in volume 117 of the phytochemistry, there was 9 minor oxygenated cannabinoids that were discovered, and out of the 9, 4 were hexahydrocannabinol. So I think it's going to be very, very plausible that like a lot of oils that we are testing, it's really a testing issue more than anything about identifying these different cannabinoids. Because it could very well be that you've been consuming HHC for many, many years and it just hasn't been tested for yet, which is really fascinating, honestly, really fascinating. So in terms of the effects of it, we're basically could possess more of a discomfort relieving properties. And some studies on mice. I'm super paraphrasing here because I'm HHC chilling right now. Basically, it basically increased the mice sleeping by 4-fold, and it could possibly inhibit the feeling of pain. The researchers basically said how Delta 9 THC like effects had Delta 9 THC like effects, although the pharmacological effects were less potent than that of Delta 9. So basically saying, hey, this works similarly, but it's not as strong as the other, as D9. And then there was another study which said that could inhibit tumor growth. That was by lead chemist Mark Scaldone. And the good news is that there hasn't really been anything reported about side effects at all. Although, obviously, don't be using this if you're pregnant or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, the main thing is that, like, if we're looking at all these different carbon chains, Delta 9, Delta 8, HHC also have 5 carbon chains. And people thought that was going to be the most potent. Obviously, THCP is. And yeah, that's basically everything that I got on this. I mean, I feel stoned. Like, I feel stoned right now. But not Delta 9 stoned. If that makes sense. Not like after eating a bunch of Delta 8 gummies stoned. But I do feel good. I feel good. I could smoke this pretty regularly. Because for me, again, maybe I'm one in a million here, but like Delta 9 is like the heavy dose, and I just don't want to be that stoned. And even just taking a pull or two consciously, my brain is like, I just think I already think a lot, and so like when I smoke D9, I'm thinking about too many things all at once, and it becomes uncomfortable. And with this is like what everyone thought Delta 8 was. Like, it's to me, this is less potent than Delta 8. And but I could still buy a HHC cart. Well, yeah, depending on who it is. I wouldn't just buy I wouldn't buy any bloody cannabis products in a smoke shop. There's hardly a lot. There's not really many that I would try, honestly. Not really many. But this is something where I could easily see this being like, I'm going to grab the HHC cart over the Delta 8 cart because it's going to be more calm and I'm looking for more of an indica. Like, I feel my back being super relaxed. I feel my body, I feel my head is like almost unchanged. A little bit of the giggles, but this is great. And it doesn't even have terps in it yet, which is more of the most amazing thing for me. I mean, I'm like, what? Like, it's time for maybe some HHC hash. Anyway, gang, I don't really have much more else to say. Like, I feel like we've talked about HHC now a lot. I feel like we get HHC. It's time to move on to a new cannabinoid. And sort of want to have a bone to pick with THCO. So I'll probably do the acidulation videos next. But I hope you enjoyed this. I think HHC is excellent. I think with the 9R versus the 9S, I think that this is still a pretty solid feeling. And I'm happy enough with it, honestly. Like, I think I'm actually really amazed. I wouldn't really ever smoke D9 distillate raw. But this is nice. This is really enjoyable. So, gang, enjoy. Love you all. Thanks for watching. Let's get to 1,000.